how to flirt. But he grounded me because he thought I was proposing. My professor did warn me, but by then, I'd already done something very stupid. How could I watch the strongest, most beautiful male on Emerald Atoll fail to find a mate? He could take down prey that weighed hundreds of pounds, but he'd never once shown up to a courtship dance. Poor thing grew up alone. No one ever taught him, so I played him courtship songs on a speaker, put on a prosthetic tail, and showed him the dance myself. He learned fast and performed it right back to me. Thrilled, I shot the whole thing and sent it to my professor to brag. He called me back screaming.
You idiot! Didn't you notice the razor-sharp teeth?
The long claws? The powerful tail? That's not a mer.
It's more like a siren out of mythology.
It could slice you open and rip your heart out without breaking a sweat. The only way a creature like that courts a mate is by hunting them down, dragging them somewhere no one will find them, and keeping them there until they're pregnant.
Get out of there!
Get out! Get out!
But it was already too late. He was already swimming toward me. 2 months earlier, a new male had arrived at Emerald Atoll, settling alone on the far side of the island. Merfolk live in family groups, but young males often leave the pod they grew up in to seek mates and join new colonies. It promotes genetic diversity, a smart evolutionary strategy. The merfolk were soft-featured, almost doll-like. This one was all edges, looked like a fallen angel. His teeth were pointed, his claws significantly longer than any shallow water mers. Black hair, green eyes, a black gold tail roughly 8 feet long. This was clearly a powerful deep-sea mer who had left his pod and come to Emerald Atoll seeking a mate. I usually observed the merfolk through underwater cameras stationed around the island. But once, while boating near the atoll, I spotted him. I sent my drone after him and watched him cut through the waves, chasing down a marlin doing nearly 70 miles an hour. He caught it effortlessly, slicing the fish open with his claws. The blood drew sharks and orcas from the surrounding waters, but none of them dared approach him. Deep-sea mer were clearly the unchallenged apex predators of the ocean. When he drifted past my boat, I couldn't help staring.
You're amazing!
Of course, he couldn't understand me. After humans discovered this planet, there had been a brief surge of interest in merfolk research, but the excitement died down fast.
Merfish intelligence was only slightly above orcas. They were omnivores, living mostly on kelp and seaweed, occasionally supplemented with crabs, oysters, and small fish. And there was zero chance of crossbreeding with humans.
Most researchers moved on to studying beast folk. As for me, I'd originally studied beast folk too.
Isla! I have to attend a university conference and will probably be away for a week.
Again?
Yep. You're running out of time, Isla. Your graduate thesis deadline is fast approaching.
But-
You better have your topics settled by the time I get back. I believe you can do it.
I'd been alone on Emerald Atoll for 3 months. If not for my cleaning drone and internet access, I'd have dropped out long ago. But after hearing me speak, the mer stopped. Those cold, piercing eyes locked onto me. A chill crawled up my spine, even though I was perfectly safe on the boat. He sliced off the choicest cut from the marlin's back with one precise sweep of his claws and tossed it onto my deck. I'd just been fed by a mer. He was different from the others. He's smart and powerful. I could see my thesis writing itself. I might graduate early. If this mer could find a mate during mating season, he'd stay with the Emerald Atoll colony. By next spring, there could be 2 or 3 intelligent, powerful mer pups born, and I could study hybridization traits between different mer subspecies. I named the deep-sea mer Opal. His black gold tail shimmered like a black opal under moonlight, flashing with iridescent fire. Mating season lasted 3 months, but 2 months in, Opal still hadn't found a mate. He hunted massive prey every day, often tossing the best cuts onto the dock, giving me a meal of fresh sashimi or pan-seared fish. He only ate the belly meat himself, discarding the rest. Before long, young males from the colony would slink over and drag away the leftovers to present to the females they were courting. He'd inadvertently helped several pairs get together. Merfolk were drawn to strength. A male who could bring down enormous prey easily won female attention. But this idiot fish had never once attended the underwater courtship dances. I consulted my professor, who said merfolk were social animals. Males typically left in groups of 2 or 3 brothers. A solitary mer had likely been separated by accident, or abandoned, forced to grow up alone. That would explain why this one was such an exceptional hunter. Without a family's protection, he'd had to become powerful to survive the ocean's dangers. It also meant he probably didn't know the courtship song or dance. Without performing the courtship ritual, None of the young females would even know he was available. Of course he didn't have a mate. Once mating season ended, Opal would leave Emerald Atoll with nothing to show for it. I could feel my thesis slipping away. I had to do something. It was just a song and a dance. I'd teach him myself. I pulled up recordings of merfolk courtship songs and waited at the dock. Opal arrived, dragging another massive tuna. The warm light softened his cold features. I knew he was dangerous, but merfolk had no recorded history of harming humans. I approached him slowly.
Opal. Opal, that's the name I gave you.
Merfolk could only produce simple tones. They had a basic language, but communicated through ultrasound. Their vocal anatomy didn't support complex human speech. Neither did their intelligence, for that matter. He opened his mouth.
Opal.
Clear, precise, perfectly pronounced. He could speak. Research on deep-sea mer was scarce. Perhaps some subspecies had this ability. My thesis was going to shake the entire field.
Opal!
I pointed at him, then pointed at myself.
Isla.
He immediately understood that Opal referred to him,
Opal.
and Isla, to me,
Isla.
remarkably intelligent. I turned on the speaker I'd prepared.
I'm going to teach you the courtship song. Once you learn it, you sing it for whichever mate you choose.
He seemed confused, but I knew he wouldn't hurt me. Soon the lilting melody of a merfolk courtship song floated from the speaker. I had to admit, merfolk singing was beautiful. The next instant, Opal's expression changed. He drove his claws through the speaker in one violent strike, shredding it until the song went silent. I jumped back in terror and ran. Those claws would crack my skull just as easily. He saw me fleeing and lunged. I glanced back mid-sprint and saw he'd hauled himself onto the shore, floundering forward, trying to chase me. But on land he was slow, nowhere near fast enough.
Isla.
His voice was plaintive, almost begging. No wonder myth said merfolk lured humans to their death. That's exactly what he sounded like now, luring me back so he could eat me. The next day, I found a grouper on the dock, alongside a speaker that had been painstakingly pieced back together. Opal hovered 100 meters out, neither approaching nor leaving, just watching me. I might have overreacted yesterday. Research consistently showed merfolk were among the friendliest species known. He'd probably just been startled that the speaker could produce mersong. I waved him over. He drifted 10 meters closer, waited, and when I didn't run, cautiously closed another 10 meters. Several minutes passed before he was just a few meters away.
You don't like the speaker? What if I teach you myself?
Could he actually understand human speech? I'd been listening to the colony's courtship songs through underwater equipment for weeks. I knew them by heart. I sang the first line, ready to sprint the instant his claws came for my head the way they'd come for the speaker. When Opal heard me sing, his eyes lit up. He repeated the line back. I sang the full courtship song, and he echoed it perfectly. I'd expected to need a dozen repetitions, but he reproduced the entire song flawlessly on the first try. His eyes never left me. He didn't even blink. It made me uneasy.
Opal, you're incredibly smart. When you meet a merm you fancy someday, you may sing this tune for her. Consider it tuition.
That night, deep in sleep, I was jolted awake by a familiar melody. Furious, I threw open the window and locked eyes with Opal.
Shut up!
I snapped at him. The singing stopped. I finally got a good night's sleep. But days later, Opal still hadn't found a mate despite knowing the courtship song. Was I really going to have to teach him the dance too? I was a strong swimmer and certified diver. When I was a child, trips to Thalassa were all the rage. My parents brought me here on vacation. After visiting the shallow water merfolk, the next day we boarded a cruise ship to search for deep-sea mer. But the waves were particularly rough that day, and I fell overboard. Over 10 days later, my parents found me unconscious on the shore, burning with fever. The fever wiped my memory of that entire period. The assumption was that a shallow water merfolk pod had rescued me. After that ordeal, once we returned to our homeworld, my parents enrolled me in swimming and diving lessons. I never imagined that years later I'd end up back on Thalassa, and that those skills would actually prove useful.
When you see a female you like, have you tried singing the courtship song for her?
He nodded. I was furious. He'd already sung the courtship song and still got rejected? These females had no taste. Opal was the most stunning mer on Emerald Atoll.
Do you know the courtship dance?
He shook his head. Fine, for the sake of my thesis, I'd go all in. I turned, walked into the room, slipped on the silver imitation fishtail, and then dove into the sea. I mimicked the courtship dance movements, twirling through the sea. Opal's eyes grew brighter and brighter, unblinking, fixed on every movement.
Like.
That was the first word he'd said to me besides my name. Idiot. If he liked it, then he'd better learn it. I was counting on those mer pups next year. When the dance ended, he retracted his claws. Opal pulled me into a full embrace, carefully circling my waist, resting his head on my shoulder, his tail pressing close against mine.
Like Isla.
Compared to my clumsy, slightly ridiculous imitation of a mer dance, Opal's was effortless and powerful, devastatingly beautiful. He sang something similar to the merfolk courtship song, but more ethereal, more haunting. Those impossible eyes held nothing but my reflection the entire time. Like a sailor bewitched by a siren, I found myself swimming toward him, wanting to dance with him. The moment my hand touched his, I snapped out of it. Dancing with a fish, I'd lost my mind. I turned and swam hard for shore. Behind me, Opal slowly lowered his hand, watching me leave in silence. I'd barely peeled off the wet tail when my professor called, and his furious voice erupted from my comm device.
You idiot! You told me you found a deep-sea mer.
Didn't you notice the razor-sharp teeth?
The long claws? The powerful tail? That's not a mer.
It's more like a siren out of mythology.
It could slice you open and rip your heart out without breaking a sweat. The only way a creature like that courts a mate is by hunting them down, dragging them somewhere no one will find them, and keeping them there until they're pregnant.
Get out of there!
Get out! Get out!
So my gut had been right all along. I'd always known Opal looked different from the merfolk. He wasn't a deep-sea mer at all. He was a new species, an extremely dangerous new species, which meant the Emerald Atoll research station, with zero physical barriers, was a death trap. Until my professor secured funding and the station was reinforced, I had to leave immediately. I grabbed the essentials and launched my yacht. As the island shrank behind me, I let myself breathe. I hadn't said goodbye. That thought sat heavy in my chest. Whatever he was, he'd never actually hurt me. My professor called to make sure I'd gotten out.
I'm well clear of the Atroy.
Thank God. I thought the worst you'd cost me was my academic reputation.
I didn't expect I'd nearly have to attend your funeral.
But I had no appetite for his jokes. My voice was shaking. Opal's black hair billows in the wind, his sleek tail cutting through the water like an arrow. He caught up in seconds. His expression was colder than anything I'd ever seen. I told myself it was fine. The hull was metal. I was safe. Then 5 pointed claws punched through the cabin wall. The metal tore apart like paper. I fell backward. The clumsiness on the dock had been an act. The moment he boarded, his tail split slowly into 2 human legs. He walked toward me step by step, like something out of a nightmare.
Don't run.
All that friendliness had been an act. From the day he appeared, he could have slaughtered me and the entire colony anytime he wanted. But he hadn't. Had it all been a game to him? The moment his prey tried to run, the mask came off.
Don't leave. My Isla.
And then his lips pressed against mine. He was kissing me. Why? He pushed a smooth, hard pearl from his mouth into mine, his tongue forcing it to the back of my throat until I swallowed. Only then did he pull back, a satisfied smile spreading across his face.
You can't escape now. My mate.